This is Geek News Central. My name is Todd Cochran, coming to you from the New Media Production Studio. We are lit and live. The lead stories are: Reddit asks court to protect users' anonymity. 50 years later, we're still living in the Xerox Alto's world. Google and Canada prove that doing the right thing sometimes sucks for everyone. NASA and SpaceX launched the delayed Crew 6 mission to the International Space Station. I want to welcome you to episode 1654 of the Geek News Central podcast for Thursday, March 2nd. This show is sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com and listeners just like you. Great deals from GoDaddy can be found at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. You can support this show today by becoming a Geek News Central insider at geeknewscentral.com/insider by giving your $2, $5, $10, $15, $20, or $25 a month donations to the show. Hey, I want to give a warm welcome to all the brand new listeners of the show. Thank you for being here. Thank you for checking the podcast out for the very first time. Of course, we want you to get over to geeknewscentral.com, and when you're on the website, please follow and subscribe to the podcast. Sign up for the newsletter while you're on the website as well. That'll get you connected to the show in a big way and allow you to get the show notes directly delivered to your inbox immediately following the show. Of course, you can join our chat room. Our chat room is available at geeknews.chat. That's a Mastodon chat server. And you have to say that you are a Geek News Central listener when you sign up for the show. Of course, you can always email me. Again, geeknews@gmail.com, geeknews@gmail.com, and I'm available on Twitter at Geek News as well. You can follow me on Facebook by searching for my name, Todd Cochran. Partner shows, again, they're all linked at geeknewscentral.com. That includes the New Media Show, hosted by myself and Mr. Rob Greenlee, The Gadget Professor with Mr. Don Bain, The Gadget Professor, and of course, the GNC Week in Review with Kirk, our executive producer, and Scott, his co-host. All of these, again, links, signups, everything is available at geeknewscentral.com. The show is sponsored by the longest running continuous sponsor of a podcast. That's our good friends at GoDaddy.com, and you can find all the great deals at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Get over to that website. Grab yourself a deal. It is March 2023, and layoffs are continuing nationwide. Lots of announcements on that today. So economy-proof yourself. Economy-proof yourself today by grabbing yourself a website, $1.99 a month economy hosting for the first year with a free domain, or $2.99 a month managed WordPress hosting, again, for the first year with a free domain name. This guarantees you can start an online business, do e-commerce, start a podcast, start a blog, all available right there on the website at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. 30% off new product purchases. That's a great discount code to use as well for any off-product buys. $4.99 for those of you that are brand new to GoDaddy. Never been over there. You can get a domain name for $4.99, or you can transfer one in from another domain provider. For new customers only, again, that's a $4.99 one-time deal. You can get a free trial of GoDaddy Website Builder, your choice of personal business or business plus plans. That's a 1-month free trial. All these codes are tested and work. You go over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy, grab a code, or just click on it to lock in the savings to win. It's real simple to do so. $1.99 a month. Come on now. That's like 2 trips to Starbucks or something like that, right? Probably a little more than 2 trips to Starbucks, but these days, who knows? But again, get over to GoDaddy. Geek News Central listeners save an average of 94% per purchase of GoDaddy hosting accounts and an average of $3.50 on GoDaddy domain names. Your support keeps this podcast online in the independent team writing. Again, you're supporting a small team of independent content creators by using one of my promo codes. Share that with your friends, family members, people that you know. Do not write it on the bathroom wall, but we do thank you if you pick up a GoDaddy product or service at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. So how's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. It's a big week next week. I'm headed to Las Vegas for Podcast Movement Evolutions. I'll be doing a live new media show there in front of a live audience. Don't know if we're going to be live online, but we'll have the recording of it one way or the other. And of course, I'll be exhibiting there and talking with content creators from all over the country. In addition, I'm speaking on advertising in podcasting at one event or one of the sessions as well. But I've been doing a lot of planning for this show and just rearranged the studio just a little bit today. If those of you that are watching live, added some lights that I had stashed away to hopefully, liven things up in the background. I don't know if that's working or not. But a little bit of work on the studio. Of course, we had that big blowout of a gear issue here recently. And I think I've got the audio right about where I want it finally. It's not too loud, not too quiet. It's right there kind of in the sweet spot. And it's one of those things where I just have to get down on my hands and knees down here in the cabinet and just barely tweak the setting to get it to where it needs to be. I'll say this, any donations are appreciated to the show, any direct donations, and you can do that on the geeknewscentral.com/insider page. Become an insider today. We definitely appreciate it when you do. So again, no shows next week. Be out Monday and Thursday. Now, my daughter is coming from Tampa, Florida, and bringing my grandbabies. So I'm planning on a show on Monday. I can't promise one on Thursday. I think we're going to try to do things in between. I want to keep the show rolling. Don't want to have too many off times, being that I'm going to be off 2 shows next week because of business. So we'll see how that all goes. I'll keep you in the line. But for right now, I am planning on having a show Monday evening. And then depending on what we have planned for the rest of the week, I will keep advised on that. But big snowstorm headed this way tomorrow. Big for this area, 7 to 11 inches. We'll see. And plan on working from the office tomorrow. I'm not going to work from the house, but we'll see what it looks like in the morning. You guys don't care about that as long as I'm here doing the show for you, right? That's all that counts. All right, let me go ahead and get into the stack of stuff. I got a good lineup. Kirk did a great job. Kirk is our executive producer here and did a great job lining things up. Again, we are lit and live. You can pick up one of these cool apps that support live item to be live at podcastapps.com. Podcastapps.com. Check that out. Or newpodcastapps.com. You can go over there and grab one of these cool. Now, Podverse is the one I kind of check to see if we're still alive on the air when we're running. I did not check it tonight. I should have done a quick check in. Podverse.fm is the website of that particular app. So let's look here. Geek News Central. Are we? Yep. So let me show you what it looks like. Let me show you what it looks like right here. Geek News Central video live. Geek News Central podcast live. If I go and click on the Geek News Central, and those of you that are watching, you can actually see the video portion of the show. So let me turn the volume. The volume is down, and I'll click on this, and you can see me right there in the right corner. You can see that I'm live and participate in the ecosystem here, okay? Again, right in the app that you're using today. Again, newpodcastapps.com is the place to go to check all that out and provide some value. If I provide value today, you can provide value back to the show in the form of a boost. And we definitely want to thank the boost and the live streaming boosts that have come in over the past few days. That has been greatly appreciated. And when a live boost comes in, it sounds a little bit like that. So we've got Dave Jones and Adam Curry are both streaming the show live tonight. So thank you very much for the live streaming Satoshis. We definitely appreciate it in a big way. Okay, so let me go ahead again. Sorry, jumping around here, getting into the stack of stuff that we've got to talk about. But Reddit has basically asked a court to protect users' anonymity in a third-party lawsuit. They've asked the California federal court to reject a request to unmask several anonymous Redditors. Filmmakers believe that the users' posts are useful evidence in an ongoing piracy lawsuit against an internet service provider. However, Reddit characterized the post as irrelevant and argues that the First Amendment right to anonymous speech is at stake. So it is an interesting dilemma. This all revolves around the repeat infringer issue, where people are still scheming music, movies, software off the internet. But internet provider RCN is one of the companies targeted in 2021. The ISP was sued by several film companies, including the makers of The Hitman's Wife, Bodyguard, London Has Fallen, and Hellboy. The movie companies alleged that RCN wasn't doing good enough to stop subscribers from pirating on its network. Instead of terminating the accounts of persistent pirates, the internet provider turned a blind eye. Now, the two camps are currently in discovery phase, where they gather evidence, and discovery phase in a lawsuit can be very, very time consuming and for both sides. In this quest, the filmmakers stumbled across several comments from Reddit users, which they believe could be useful. One, so it was from seems extremely rare if ever. The comment that was made was, seems extremely rare if ever. RCM seems fairly lax, no data caps. I looked up before I switched and had little trouble. So they want to know who this person is. And maybe it's because they think this person is a abuser. But anyway, they're going to court. So what do you think? Do you think if you make anonymous comment on a forum somewhere, you can be protected? It's a good question, isn't it? So I think California court is going to weigh in, and we'll see what happens. But a good job on Reddit's job in trying to protect their user base from being their information and their posts being called into court. There's an interesting article over at spectrum.ieee.org, and it's entitled 50 Years Later, We're Still Living in the Xerox Alto's World. Now, Xerox Alto's World, that was some time ago. And by 1975, dozens of Xerox PARC researchers had personal Altos in their offices and used them daily. The large cabinet contained a CPU, memory, and a removable disk pack. On the desk, additional disk packs and the Alto's vertical display mouse and keyboard were available. And this starts off his article saying, I'm sitting in front of a computer looking at its graphical user interface with overlapping windows on a high-resolution screen. I interact with the computer by pointing and clicking with a mouse and typing on a keyboard. I'm using a word processor with core features and functions of Microsoft Word, Google Docs, or LibreOffice Writer, and along with an email client that could be mistaken for a simplified version of Apple Mail, Microsoft Outlook, or Mozilla Thunderbird. This computer runs other software written using object-oriented programming, just like popular programming languages Python, C++, C#, Java, JavaScript, and R. Its networking capabilities can link me to other computers and to high-quality laser printers. Well, this guy was sitting in front of a century-old hardware running software of the same vintage, meticulously restored in operation at the Computer History Museum Archive Center. Despite its age, using it feels familiar and natural. It's sometimes difficult to appreciate just how extraordinary, how different it was when it first appeared. And again, he's talking about the Xerox Alto, which debuted in 1973. So, obviously, a little tongue-in-cheek there. There's a good video on this on how it was recovered. But it says we're basically kind of just running in a world where it's just a little more sophisticated. And I will counter I think it's a lot more sophisticated. I come into the DOS world where I really was kind of pay attention. Well, take that back. My first exposure, well, no. My first real personal computer in a modern sense was not my TRS-80 that I had. I still have in a box, by the way, and it's not the original TRS-80. It's a Model 2 or something. Was a Commodore Colt, and I'm not sure which version we were running, but I was using it in those days to run a bulletin board and on a 2400 baud modem. I don't remember the GUI stuff until probably the first version of Windows, but really not heavy into Windows until Windows 98, that came obviously later. I think that was the year. I don't know, but Windows 3.1, maybe that's about my time in Windows 3, something in that range. So if you think about it, the core functions have not really, we still have word processor. I remember using, what was the name of that software that it was a word, oh my God. It wasn't Microsoft Word. Yeah, it slips my mind, but it was one of the early word processors that was halfway decent that everyone used, and it drove me crazy. It really did. It did. It was so hard to format stuff, and sometimes it's still hard to format stuff because I do most of my work now in Google Docs. But it is amazing how little yet how far we have come, and I think about the computing power that's just in this room alone. Probably, is like 10 times the space shuttle, or maybe even 100 times the space shuttle, because you can probably run the space shuttle software on a single laptop these days. And, I've got several machines here in this production, but it is pretty amazing how little we've actually come in all that time. And, what is going to be the big transformation? That probably is the question. Google in Canada proved that doing the right thing sometimes sucks for everyone. Well, Canadian legislatures have proposed a bill that would force tech companies like Google to pay publishers for the use of their content. The bill, known as C-18, would have the Google and Metas of the world cover about 30% of publishers' overall editorial costs, which Canadian Heritage Minister Pablo Rodriguez calls fair compensation to an industry currently in crisis, as well as a way to combat disinformation that's so prevalent online. Well, let me be honest with you. Remember that thing called Blockbuster? Well, that's where we're at today with news organizations. We're in the Blockbuster times where they are soon to be dinosaurs, in my opinion. It's going to go away. With TikTok and other social media venues where you can get almost all the information you need from the hands of an independent person with a cell phone. We'll see. Because, most news and all that stuff now is entertainment, and most stuff that's being written is biased beyond belief. And, they don't just print the information anymore. They just have to put their own political spin on it. Google, of course, doesn't agree and says the proposed legislation amounts to a link tax and creates a lower standard for journalism that would actually benefit spammers and peddlers of misinformation. So which side is right? Does it even matter? Most importantly, exactly what is going on. The bill, not yet a law, but is being forwarded through the Canadian government, may very well be implemented as written. Most likely, Google in Canada will work out a compromise, just like Meta, then known as Facebook, did with the Australian government over the same issue. One thing everyone knows is that Google often adds context to its search results in the form of a snippet or whatever is being linked. Businesses live and die by that Google behemoth. And even traffic to this website is affected up and down based upon Google search traffic. The growth of this show is affected by Google search traffic because I rely on it so much to drive new listeners to the show. So What say you? Should Google have to pay? I'd like to be on that gravy train, but I don't live in Canada. But, if I'm producing content, do I get some, if I'm in Canada, if I'm a producer of news and information, do I get 30% of my revenue, production costs covered by Google? I don't think so. So then again, who is going to benefit from this? On a more positive note, NASA and SpaceX launched the delayed Crew 6 mission to the International Space Station. The launch of the crew had been planned originally for February 27th, but was called off at the last minute because of a rocket, what they call propellant ignition issue. And so anyway, they made to orbit safe. They should be at the International Space Station tomorrow. And if I remember correctly, let's see if I can find it, the SpaceX made its 101st straight landing. So congratulations to SpaceX for bringing the 101st rocket back to Earth. And you got to admit they are just knocking it out of the ballpark in launches and getting those boosters back. Everyone is just like they're getting a lot of praise for this remarkable record. Knock on wood. You just wonder. The thing that I'm wondering about is what point will they find the upper limit on reuse of those boosters? And I'm sure when we find it, it's going to be spectacular. Hope it's not during a mission to lift humans to orbit. I'm sure they're using much younger boosters on those launches, but you have to wonder where is the, hopefully they're doing enough analysis, enough metal analysis to see where the stress is happening with these boosters and at what point they need to be scrapped, because that's a tremendous amount of pressure on that. It's, airplanes, they have so many takeoffs and landings too before their wings have to be replaced, or things have to be happening with the infrastructure of the aircraft. Yes, you can put new wings on airplanes. They often don't because it's almost cheaper to buy a new airplane, but you can, or you can go through restructuring and that kind of stuff. But time will tell at what point we get to the failure point on some of these boosters, and the number of launches so far is pretty remarkable. There's some controversy out there. They're saying Meta should not open the metaverse to teens. Teens could reportedly have access to Horizon World's metaverse app in March, and 2 Democrats are asking Meta to halt this plan over safety concerns. Thursday, Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut and Edward Markey of Massachusetts cited concerns over Meta's track record of teen safety on other apps. And they, in quote, they say, in light of your company's record of failure to protect children and teens, and a growing body of evidence pointing to threats to young users in the metaverse, we urge you to halt this plan immediately, the senators wrote. Now, here's my take. Those teenagers have parents. Those parents have control unequivocally over everything those teenagers do on their phones, with VR headsets, with everything. I've said it many, many times on this show. If I had the opportunity to do it again, I would have not let my kids have cell phones as early as I did. I really think I would have benefited, much to their chagrin, of holding them from having a cell phone to much later in their teenage years. Now, Horizon World's a virtual reality program where users can build, meet, and play games using a virtual reality headset. Virtual reality worlds have been found to have similar harassment problems as other corners of the internet. Well, you can just walk down the street and be harassed these days. Matter of fact, you can sit on the side of the road and get shot these days, as evidence to a homeless person being shot a couple of days ago, just sitting on the side of the street. Meta has declined to comment on the letter. So they're saying that the platform has always been designed for people 13 plus. So it makes sense we plan to introduce experience for that audience in Horizon. Teens are already spending a variety of time in VR experiences. Well, I haven't spent any time in VR because I don't have a VR headset. And we want to ensure that we can provide them with a great experience in Horizon worlds as well, with age-appropriate tools and protections in place. So what say you? Are you keeping your kids away from the VR stuff? What are you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, what are you doing? I'd love to hear your commentary on what you are doing with your kids. Any of you listening to this show still have kids at home? geeknews@gmail.com is the email address to send your commentary. Or you can just boost. You can just boost your commentary to the show. 50,000 stats receiving you loud and clear in Texas. That's how it's done. Receiving you loud and clear in Texas for Adam Curry. 50,000 sats. I didn't have the volume turned up, so I didn't hear the boost come in. But that's how it works. That's how it works, ladies and gentlemen. That's how you can send comments live to the show or while you're listening to the show in playback on demand. All right, so let's move on. 6 website and apps that reward you for being healthy. Boy, I tell you, I could probably use a little of that at this point. Virgin Pulse, Windwalk, Evidation, Paceline, Cato, Way Better. All these apps are linked in this article over at makeuseof.com. If you're using any of these, I'd love to hear from you on what you're doing. In a surprising leak, I think, Musk bid to start Neuralink human trials denied by FDA in 2022, a report says. They reportedly listed dozens of deficiencies, including serious safety concerns. So this human trial application that was denied, which company employees are still working to address. The revelation of the FDA rejection tracks with thin public progress reports from the company, which places Neuralink behind rivals as well as Musk's ambitious timelines. So, according to a company document from last fall, Neuralink expected FDA authorization for trials by March. But employees who spoke with Reuters said they are not confident they'll get it. The rejection last year listed dozens of deficiencies. Some concerns were deemed relative minor by employees who read the FDA documents, spoke with Reuters, but others were significant. The FDA was particularly concerned about the safety of the rechargeable lithium batteries Neuralink proposed for its device. Regulators said the company needed to do animal testing to show the battery was unlikely to malfunction, which could damage brain tissue. So they're going to put a battery up in your brain? And another reported serious concern was that the implant's tiny wires, which are thinner than individual human hairs, could migrate into the brain, potentially causing inflammation, rupturing blood vessels, and impairing brain function. The FDA was also concerned about the device overheating and questioned whether it could be removed from people's brains without causing damage. Good Lord. We're going to kill a few people when we go to this type of testing, I guarantee you. Not saying Neuralink will, but something's going to happen with any of these companies are going to hook up to people's brains. The company will need to do more animal testing, which current and former employees say Neuralink has handled irresponsibly in the past. Specifically, some alleged the company abused research animals. This is always the case. People are worried about the animals. The Department of Agriculture has opened an investigation into Neuralink or possible animal welfare violations. Similarly, the Department of Transportation is investigating whether Neuralink violated federal transportation regulations will allegedly ship brain implants removed from research monkeys infected with a number of dangerous pathogens. Oh, okay. Well, okay. Here we go. Any of you want to get something stuck in your head? You have to be pretty doggone convincing to me to allow that to be tested on my brain matter. I don't have enough of it as it is. So, Sam Bankman-Fried is still Fred, whatever his name is still under lots of scrutiny. He's trying to revise his bail conditions after a judge noted suspicious VPN use. What happens to people under house arrest? Do they have like some sort of device put on their internet so people can track. I'm curious. I don't know how they track people's internet usage. Apparently, he was in danger of losing his bail package. The court was fed up with trying to monitor his online activity. The United States District Judge decided the only poor option left was for bankman Fred Fried to recommend independent experts who could help the court set appropriate bail conditions. He gave him until Friday to find experts who could help the court determine precisely what tech privileges needed to be revoked. See, this is the case. When you have people that are used to trying to operate independently and without much overview, aka, secure apps, the court isn't smart enough to figure this out. Well, apparently he officially submitted his recommendations. One is at Edward Strauss and the other's a Michael McGowan. Both these folks Strauss was an FBI agent in the 80s and 90s, specializing in major international financial crimes. And the other guy's a similar background with 19 years experience of digital forensics consultant, including 15 years at a company called Aon. His resume highlights his history in analyzing tech-related questions, high-profile cases. So anyway, these are the two folks at the SBF that said, hey, I want these guys to be the ones that's going to tell you what I can do and can't do with my gear. But if you're on a VPN, and you say my excuse is I'm trying to watch the Super Bowl, well, interesting. Interesting indeed. I would bet he was off doing something else. And of course, if he was just watching the Super Bowl, 2-3 hours of VPN use to watch the Super Bowl would be a significant amount of time to go and hide stuff and move finances and do all kinds of backdoor stuff on a VPN. They weren't stupid enough to limit his VPN usage immediately. It's crazy. CNET is doing a big layoff just weeks after its AI-generated stories came to light. The cuts come from Red Ventures. So they've cut about 10% of their staff. So I guess the AIs are taking over at CNET. To prepare ourselves for a strong future, we'll need to focus on how do we simplify our operations, our tech stack, and also on how we invest our time and energy. We'll just let the bots write the articles, I guess. And they will focus going forward coverage areas where the company has a high degree of authority, relevance. Well, if you're using a bot, are you really have that much authority anymore? Does a bot give you authority, CNET? Therein lies the question. Waymo's been hit by a second round of layoffs, cut 8% of its staff this year. Waymo says the cuts will let it focus on commercial success. So when will the Alphabet layoffs end? Well, not right now. And the self-driving company has cut 137 staff members, bringing the total cuts to the Alphabet subsidiary to 8%, 209 total employees. Waymo said the cuts would let it focus on commercial success, blah, blah, blah. They've been around 14 years, and they haven't had much in the way of commercial success yet. And they continue to make progress. And earlier this week, announced hit 1 million rider-only miles, meaning trips with no driver in the seat at all. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with this. Have you taken a Waymo ride ever before? Tesla's Investor Day, according to the folks over at The Verge, who's been doing nothing but bashing anything that Elon Musk has done, said the day was kind of a dud. Can't give the dude any credits. They just have to say it was a dud. Yet Elon re-achieved being one of the richest men in the world recently with stock price increases. But apparently stock is down again after this supposed lackluster coverage. Investors begged Musk for more details on the new cars, a name, some specs, a timeline, more importantly, a price. But Musk dodged each question like it was a liability lawsuit. We will have a proper product event, but we'll be jumping the gun if we're to answer your questions, he said after another investor tried to price something. Guess they had two vehicles. One looked like a small car and the other looked like a minivan covered in white sheets. They're probably a Volkswagen and something else. Who knows? But anyway, these two vehicles that everyone wanted to see, they did not get to see at the event. Dashlane to support new third-party passkey sync feature in Android 14. An upcoming version of Android, you can use a third-party app like Dashlane to manage password logins instead of Google's built-in password manager. So that's cool. A developer preview review released last month adds new abilities to Android that lets third-party password managers use logins with compatible apps on the platform. A passkey, of course, is a passwordless login built on the FIDO standard, designed to make it hard for malicious parties to phish access from users since there's no password to steal. FIDO used to be another name for a FIDO.net back in the old BBS days. Google workers in Japan have joined a labor union in response to planned layoffs. The tech giant announced in January that it's cutting those lots of jobs, but it didn't say in what countries. So dozen Google Japan employees are organized under Tokyo's manager union. It's the first labor union at Google Japan, according to Meiji University assistant professor Ken Yamazaki, who also posted a copy of the group's statements from a press conference. Apparently, employees choose to organize out of fear that they could be abruptly laid off, especially since some of them are in Japan on work visas. For dismissal to be legal in Japan, a company has to prove that it has reasonable grounds to terminate an employee. However, some companies terminate employees with good reason by claiming to have problems with the workers. The group is hoping that joining union would protect them from sudden termination. In the U.S., one of the divisions most affected by jobs cut was the company's Area 120 in-house incubator, which works on experimental apps and products. The division used to develop 20 projects simultaneously, but now it's down to 3 after most people in the team lost their jobs. So, okay. I guess we'll see what happens with these Japanese workers. Movie Anywhere, which I have no idea what this is, will soon shut down its Screen Pass content sharing feature. And apparently Movie Anywhere is part of a Disney-owned platform, and they didn't provide any reason for the closure except to say after May 1st, you'll no longer be able to use the Screen Pass feature to send a Screen Pass. I guess this is where you can send a friend a pass to watch a movie or something. Screen Pass lets users send 3 movie passes monthly. So, okay, so that's what it is. We won't be able to share those anymore. FTC moves to ban BetterHelp from sharing mental health data from ad targeting. Good luck with that. Lots of companies are doing this. They just need to be slammed. The online counseling company will pay $7.8 million back to consumers to settle charges. And basically, they were sharing health data, including mental health information, with the likes of Facebook and Snapchat for advertising. If the order comes into effect, it will ban BetterHelp from sharing data from users, including those who access the company's website or app without signing up for its service. With select third parties for ad targeting, the FTC alleged that between 2017 and 2020, BetterHelp shared users' email addresses, IPs, and health questionnaire responses with Facebook, Snapchat, Criteo, and Pinterest. The agency said this allowed Facebook, for instance, to target similar users with BetterHelp ads, which helped drive tens of thousands of paid users and millions of dollars in revenue to the counseling company. So you're getting counseling for this from this company, and they're selling your data. When a person is struggling with mental health issues reaches out for help, they do so in a moment of vulnerability, and with an expectation that professional counseling services will protect their privacy. Well, instead, BetterHelp betrayed customers' most personal health information for profit. No considerations for HIPAA or anything. This is horrible. BetterHelp said, "We are deeply committed to privacy of our members, and we value the trust people put in us by using our service. Our technology, policy, and procedures are designed to protect and secure our members' information so it is not used or shared without their approval and consent." It was probably buried on page 82 of the terms of service that we're going to share your information if you agree to use our service. I'm sure that's what it said, in my opinion. So Anyway, they have more data here, but they're going to have to pay $7.8 million back to consumers. Ford has launched a new AI subsidiary and wants to create hands-free, eyes-off driver assist systems. I'm like, come on, let's go. I'm ready for all this already. Although I don't know if I would trust it. I don't think I would trust an AI driving me down the highway not to chop my head off by running me underneath a semi-truck or something. Not saying that Ford would do that, but I'm just saying, if you hate sitting in rush hour traffic as much as I do, having lived in Honolulu and lived 25 years of hell of sitting in that traffic, the company's doubling down and developing automated driving tech to help make traffic a little more tolerable. Got to live in the country like I do, where there's no traffic. The idea seems to be developed more advanced version of Ford's Blue Cruise, but without sensors. That warn drivers to pay attention if their eyes wander from the road. Ford announcement instead imagines the system giving drivers an eyes off the road experience that give them some of their day back. Well, I would not mind not having my hands on the steering wheel, but I don't think I'm going to trust something more than a few seconds without looking out the front of the vehicle for a very, very long time. Ford again will start F-150 Lightning production on March 13th. The automaker paused work after a battery issue caused one of the electric trucks to catch fire. So they're going to restart production, and they paused production, sent a stop shipment order to dealers after battery issue. Caused one of the trucks to catch fire in a holding lot. It's unclear what exactly did the fire, how Ford has resolved the problem, though the company has said there's no indication a charging fault was to blame. So they've given this date to give suppliers more time to ramp up at its Georgia factory and deliver the packs to the F-150 Lightning plant in Michigan. In the weeks ahead, we'll continue to apply our learnings and work with the SK On team to ensure we're continue to deliver high-quality battery packs. Batteries are going to burn up. Cars are going to burn up just like they do being gas-powered. It's not going to change. A certain amount of them are going to have a fault, and they are going to burn up. Just make sure you have a great insurance policy. These pizza ovens, I've been cooking pizza in my regular standard oven for years. What is the deal with everyone having to have a standalone pizza oven? Is it really that good? Because you buy one of those pizza pans. Now, the one I had for years was, was silver in nature, had no holes in it. It was a perfect pan to cook a pizza on. Put a little flour on it, get your dough on there, cook it's good to go, right in your oven. Now everyone's got to have a pizza oven. Are they that good? Ooni's Volt 12 is the company's first indoor pizza oven. It's also debuting the compact Keiru 12G for outdoor use. Are these pizza ovens that better than a regular oven? Why do we need another appliance? Please, someone tell, anyone's got one of these? Indoor, outdoor? Why is it better than just using the oven in your kitchen? Why do we have to have a special device? It's just like cooking French fries. You can cook French fries in a pan with oil, with a little basket on your stove. You don't need a deep fryer. Now, I understand. Maybe it's convenience. But why have all these extra appliances? I don't understand. They look cool. Someone clue me in, please. Why are these pizza ovens? Are they creating you a pizza that tastes just like Papa John's and Pizza Hut? I doubt it. Are you putting your frozen pizzas in these things? What are you guys cooking in these things? Remember the old Chef Boyardee? I don't even know if they make them anymore. The old Chef Boyardee pizza kit. You guys remember those? Man, those were good pizzas for back in the day. I haven't had one of those in years. I'm going to have to look and see if they still make them. Again, cooked right in the oven. Ring founder Jamie Simonoff is stepping down as CEO. Apparently, this has been in work for a while. He's done his 5 years of penance since the Google acquisition. And he's been working on his transition plan since June of last year. And the company will be led by former Discord COO Elizabeth Hamren. The new CEO will also help head up the Blink, Amazon Key, and Amazon Sidewalk divisions. And he wants to start inventing stuff again and coming up with the next best thing. So congratulations to him. Being that we're getting ready to get some weather here, I keep being drove crazy by the app that I use for weather the most of the time is I use two of them. I use Weather Underground, and there's Wonderground, and I use the Weather Channel. The Weather Channel's always hit me up for money, and it drives me crazy. So, sending a message here. I'm gotten a text. Sorry about the ding. Probably get a reply back, so we'll see if we get a ding back. But anyway, 10 best ad-free weather apps available. And again, the one I like the best is Wonderground. And I've never ponied up for money, but I have a weather station. But some of these are WeWow, Windy.com, Open Weather, Hello Weather, Windy.app, Me Too. There it is. That's response. FlowX, What Weather, Just Weather. So anyway, these are some free ones that are out there that aren't going to bug you for money, but they'll probably run ads. Fujifilm has announced a new Insta Max Mini 12 instant camera. So if you're into these mini Insta cameras, they're going to be available for $79.95. Again, it's going to be a nice instant picture. Those are fun. A lot of teenagers love those. Be able to do cool little pics with their friends. OnlyFans lost a legal battle, meaning it's likely to pay UK sales tax on all the money made by its content creators. So the court ruled it should pay value-added tax on all revenues, not just its 20% commission. The court sided with the UK tax body, and the decision will shape a final ruling by the UK tribunal. So how much money are they going to have to pay? OnlyFans takes a 20% commission on creators' earnings, which neared $4 billion in 2021. Pre-tax profit soared from $61 million in 2022 to $433 million the following year. Boy, I tell you what, people like spending money to see naked bodies, don't they? As users flocked to the platform during the pandemic. So they have to write the check to the UK. Never can beat the tax man. Ford has filed a patent for a system that could remotely repossess a car. Ford says it has no plans to deploy such a system. It just files a lot of patents. So basically it says lending institution, repossession agency, police authority, and why medical facility, and person with a phone, and it recalls the car and takes it home, or takes it back to where it is, drives itself home. Yep, or probably sends a message that says, here I am, this is where I'm at, come get me. We knew this was going to be the case since we heard the preliminary stuff, but NASA finds crashing spacecraft into asteroids is a viable defense strategy. Recoil from DART impact changed the dimorphous orbit more than expected. The impact from the collision shortened its orbit by 33 minutes. It now takes less than 11 and a half hours to circle around its parent asteroid. The change is significantly greater than expected. So what they basically said is that the impact itself would move the asteroid so much, but what it was is the outpouring debris that exploded off actually added to the shortening of the orbit as well, which is really, really remarkable. The spacecraft alone would have altered the orbit by 7 minutes, but the recoil and ejecta created by the impact shortened it even further. The second study estimated the loss of material from the asteroid surface contributed to change in momentum by a factor 2.2 and 4.9. So this is good news. So if we have enough time, a couple years advance notice, we might be able to save ourselves. But most of these things come out from the dark side, and basically we don't see them coming until it's too late, but time will tell. Biden's national cybersecurity strategy advocates tech regulation, software liability reform. This strategy is a shift in how Washington approaches cybersecurity, veering towards a more strictly regulated approach. Essentially, the strategy calls for critical infrastructure owners and operators to meet minimum security standards, expose software companies to liability for flaws in their products, in the U.S. to use all elements of national power to prevent cyber attacks before they happen, indication that the Biden administration intends to continue U.S. Cyber Command's so-called Defend Forward strategy, seeking out malicious hackers on foreign networks. And also, the cybersecurity strategy fundamentally reimagines America's cyber social contract. The acting national cyber director told reporters on a call Wednesday, reviewing the strategy, it will be rebalanced responsibility for managing cyber risk onto those who are most able to bear it. The biggest, most capable, and best positioned actors in our digital ecosystem can and should shoulder a greater share of the responsibility. So they're going to be going after the big boys. They're going to say, you build software, it better be secure. And you better help your customers make your stuff secure, or we're going to regulate you and sue you and take your money away. So that's essentially what it boils down to. Europe, now listen to this one. Europe is pushing for the moon to have its own time zone. Why don't we just do GMT 0 or something like that? Why? Apparently now the time zone is set by the spacecraft that from the country that owns it. For now, moon missions runs on the time of the country that is operating the spacecraft. European space officials said an internationally accepted lunar time zone would make it easier for everyone, especially as more countries and even private companies aim for the moon, and NASA gets set to send astronauts there. So, okay. So just make it GMT 0. We're good. Let's do that. Simple. But I'm sure it's going to be some stupid negotiation. Just watch. Just watch. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to bring me to the end of this show and another edition of the Geek News Central podcast. Can be found at geeknews@gmail.com, on Twitter @geeknews. Don't forget to go over to podcast apps, podcastapps.com. We want you to participate in this new ecosystem. You haven't been paying attention to me here lately because it's slowed down a little bit. We got some good momentum. Now it's slowed down. Podverse, Fountain, Cast-O-Matic, CuriouCaster. Those are the apps that you should be using to listen to this podcast. Podverse, Fountain, Cast-O-Matic, CuriouCaster. Those four are the top 4 dogs in being able to bring top income streams to this show for value. If I provided you value in this show, provide you some information that made you go, aha, provide some value back with a small micro donation using one of those 4 apps. Sure, we're glad every time someone sends. Sure, I'm glad when someone sends a PayPal. That's great to get a PayPal. My Cash App is Geek News. If you want to Cash App me, you can do that too. But by being able to send a small amount with a message, it's very valuable to me. It shows me you're engaged with the show. Go over to podcastapps.com. Try one of these apps. I'm using both Podverse and Fountain. I was able to fund both of them easily with a debit card. Put $20 worth of Satoshis in. That'll get you started. Be able to send a significant number of Satoshis to a significant number of shows that are in this new value for value model. It's been my pleasure to bring you the show. I want to thank you for your ongoing listening and support. We're actually been seeing an increase, a pretty good increase in number of listeners to the show of recent times. The reason? Podcasting space has slowed down a little bit. Less shows to listen to. I'm here, been here since October of 2004. Tell your friends about this tech show. Get them to subscribe and follow the podcast. I hope that you feel enough to support the show by doing that. And of course, as always, don't forget about our sponsor, GoDaddy. It's been my pleasure to bring you the podcast. I'll be back with you a week from Monday. Again, I am off to Podcast Movement Evolutions in Las Vegas. Another 5 painful days in Nevada. And hopefully we don't get snowed in here tomorrow too bad. But other than that, thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of the family. We'll see you back a week from Monday. Everyone take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.